This is the Spa Retailer Podcast, where we talk retail, business, and all things related to the hot tub industry. I'm your host, Megan Kendrick, owner of Spa Retailer Magazine. Today on the Spa Retailer Podcast, I have the pleasure of having Paul Madden Sr. and Paul Madden Jr. from Watered by Design. You guys have, is it 4 locations in Virginia now?
Yes, 4 locations.
Yep.
All right, 4 locations in Virginia, and they are celebrating their 40th anniversary this year. Congratulations on that. That's quite the accomplishment.
Thank you.
I was telling someone the other day, one of my proudest accomplishments is being in business for 7 years. So we made it this far, but yeah, 40 seems a long way off at this point. So like we always do on the Spa Retailer Podcast, can you just tell me a little bit about your personal background? Paul Sr., we'll start with you, how you got into the business.
Yeah, it was by mistake. We actually had a plumbing supply house years ago, and we picked up a line of hot tubs, and we've never looked back. It's been a great business to be in, and I think Paul can probably talk a lot about it too. He's been in this his whole life.
So I was the 6 or 7-year-old carrying his tool pouch to fix these things. So I've been in this industry my entire life. Went to college, got a marketing degree, had honestly no plans to stay in this industry, wanted to branch out and do something different. I graduated at the height of the Great Recession in
Me
09.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we couldn't get jobs.
No, I was lucky to get the job I did, and I thought I would stay at the magazine for a year. It was like my starter job. And yeah, here I am like 16, 17 years later, right?
So so graduated, couldn't find a job elsewhere. So stayed working with him, and the rest is history. It's almost 20 years later.
Yeah.
Like 16 years later. It's nuts.
Yeah. What was it, Paul Jr., what was it about knowing that this wasn't your plan? What was it about when you did work in the industry and start working at this store for real, other than what you did as a kid? What was it that made you say, no, I think I want to stay and do this? What kind of made you want to keep on?
I'd probably say that's an easy answer. So it was the openness that my dad has for the change that was brought on. When I graduated, your early 20s, I had a marketing degree. My dad's background was really the school of hard knocks, just high school diploma and then just grinding it out. And so coming from college and having all of these ideas, he was very open to the opportunity to initiate stuff that I brought to the table, which kept me interested. And then when we start seeing the fruit of the labor and stuff happen, that's what excites you and makes you come to work every day and continue to do it.
Paul Sr., do you feel like it's easier or harder to take suggestions from your kids as opposed to other employees or other people in your business?
Yeah, Paul and I have always had such a unique relationship. I always say I'm the yin to his yang and vice versa. We look at things differently. So I've always valued his opinion because I know that 2 different avenues that you're looking at something, you got to come up with the right answers.
Yeah.
I've always found it pretty easy to take advice from the youth because I think that they know how to sell to themselves. They know how to sell to the youth. And I think that's something that's missing in a lot of the older time hot tub companies.
Sure.
They're just not willing to turn it over when really they're the ones with the ideas and they're the ones that know how to sell to themselves. So it's not been hard listening to them, but also my managers, listening to them and what they have to say. I do value their opinions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not that my former boss did not value my opinions. He did. But there were a couple of times as his kids got older, he'd come in and he'd be like, hey, at the dinner, like last night they were saying this and we should try it. And I would be like, dude, I mentioned that 4 months ago. So it's funny how that worked out. But yeah, it sounds like you are pretty open to listening to anyone's opinions, including your own son. So that's good. So did the name Water by Design come from back when you were doing the plumbing, or was that new when you started more full-time into hot tubs?
Yeah, it became the name when we started getting more into hot tubs.
Okay.
The original name of the company was Industrial Piping Products Incorporated,
Okay,
which,
got it. Yeah, you don't want to
but
keep with that.
and when we started getting more into water products and things like that's when we knew a change was necessary. So that's when we renamed the company Water by Design.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What how come hot tubs? Were you just working on them a lot and you said, you know what, we need to start selling these? Or how did that whole change start?
Actually, it's comical. A hot tub salesperson came into our showroom, our plumbing showroom, and we sit down and talk for a while. And he said I would be an amazing hot tub salesperson, which yeah, I'm sure he would have said to anybody sitting in front of him. But I believed him. We actually went ahead and it was hard convincing my mother at the time, which was our bookkeeper, to stop buying half-inch copper 90s and buy several $1,000 hot tubs. She
Sure,
didn't want.
that's a little bit different
It
inventory.
was a little different, yeah. We brought 6 tubs in and sold half of them before they even got here, and the rest is kind of history. We made the transition from the plumbing wholesaler, and this was early on in the business, to the hot tubs, and, we've just never looked back. It's been a great industry. It was selling plumbing supplies, which was a necessity, to selling hot tubs, which was a luxury, and you a totally different mindset. I liked everything about it, stuck with it, and we've done really well.
Yeah. Yeah. What a completely different kind of customer. Someone who's a professional having to buy supplies to go out on a job versus a consumer who's excited to have this fun thing in their home.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. It was definitely a breath of fresh air dealing with people with this type of a product.
Yeah, for sure. So, Paul Jr., I asked you, why you stayed in the business, but I guess I'm curious too. You grew up in it. So, were there things about it which was why you were like, yeah, I don't want to do this for my whole career?
Nothing, I don't think there was any like one thing that could really be named as
Yeah,
much as you're just wanting to explore a little bit, see what else
sure.
is out there. I may have come back because if I realize I don't want to work in a cubicle or for corporate America since. So I don't know as if I would still be there. I have no idea, but I know a lot of our employees now have come from corporate America and they're just done with it. Yeah, I don't think that there's one particular thing other than just being young and wanting to explore, maybe live in a
Sure.
bigger city because where we live now is not a major metropolitan.
Hmm.
So you learn to appreciate that as you get older with kids and stuff that, yeah, we want wide open spaces more than when we were in our 20s.
Yeah, absolutely. So, was the business started? Let's see, you've got locations in Roanoke, Christiansburg, and Forest. Is that right?
Yeah, so we have two locations in Roanoke, one in Lynchburg and one in Christiansburg.
Because our
Got
forest
it.
location is actually being moved to
Yeah,
Lynchburg.
Oh, okay.
that's the one that we're moving right now. That,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. I got family in Lynchburg. Did you guys start in Roanoke then, though? Was that your like corporate headquarters?
Corporate headquarters now, the business was actually started in Salem.
I'm way off. You just tell me and I
Yeah,
should
no,
stop
so
guessing.
but most of our business actually from late 80s till 2012, 2013 was Christiansburg, the New River Valley. And then we went to go make the move to a bigger market in Roanoke and opened our second store in Roanoke. And a month maybe after opening that store in Roanoke, our landlord like kicked out half of the tenants because they had like a Once Upon a Child or Plato's Closet or something was coming
Okay.
in. And so it was like we were one of 7 tenants that got a letter the Monday after Thanksgiving that we had until the end of the year to vacate the property. They were terminating all the leases. And so we got nervous because Christiansburg was our safety net for
Yeah.
some years. And so it was also nice this year being able to go after 10 years, being able to go back and open up a location in Christiansburg. But that's how we started. But right now, Roanoke is home. I was born in Roanoke, grew up there. We just made the commute up and down 81 every day.
Hmm.
So now having headquarters in Roanoke makes it a lot more convenient.
Yeah, absolutely. So you you said during the Great Recession, which was when I got in the industry too, and it's just not the best time to work in the pool and hot tub industry. So I guess question for both of you, what was that time period like for your business? It's been interesting because we've been talking to people so much about the COVID times, right? But it's been
Mhm.
interesting lately. I've talked to some retailers about that time period during the recession and just how harrowing it was and how hard it was for some people. I think I was young and didn't really understand what that felt like. I didn't own my own business at that time. And I think now I have such a deeper appreciation for all of you who hung in there and stuck it out and made it work. And now look where we are now. But what was that time period like for your company?
It was crazy. However, we were a small enough company to weather the storm.
Yeah.
We weren't a large conglomerate that had to make so much money. I had to make enough to pay the bills, and that was
Yeah.
it. You didn't
Yeah.
have to worry about expansion and things. But I'm probably the only person that came out of that saying that the 2008 recession was the best thing that ever happened to this company because I acquired my partner here. And it is true. That was very exciting. He graduated in 2009, and that's when our excitement started because he said, "Can you stay on? Can I stay on?" And I said, "Yeah, but you're partners. You're not. You don't work for Dad anymore." And what he has done with this company is just remarkable. It truly is. So with us, it was a real growth part of our business. When he came on board, a lot of exciting things were happening. We were moving into a new showroom in Christiansburg. Again, we were a small enough company that the recession wasn't as impactful for us
Yeah.
as it would have been if we were larger.
Yeah.
That's spot on. We were only had 3, maybe 4 employees back then. So it was not the company that we are now. So it's almost like we cheated our way through the recession because we could get by with 40 hot tubs a year and it was fine because we didn't have the payroll like we do now, where
Hmm.
just operation costs and stuff were so small back then. It wasn't terrible. And also too, at the time we were up in Christiansburg, Blacksburg area, which a lot of Virginia Tech professors and stuff. And then in Roanoke is very hospital heavy. So luckily for us, we had a lot of professions that weren't impacted like some were.
Yep.
So we still had revenue and stuff for people to spend.
Yeah. I live in a college town and yeah, like not that college towns aren't are recession proof per se,
Mhm.
but yeah, you've got that steady base that isn't super like that sticks around and usually has like decent paying jobs. Sorry, I lost my train of thought thinking about college towns.
Yeah.
Don't go back there.
Yeah.
So it's interesting though, when you brought Paul Jr. on, you wanted him to be a partner right away. Like that's how you guys started this business relationship. You didn't like make him get his feet wet for a while or anything. You like jumped in like full
You
on.
know, the thing is, we were such a small company, we all did everything. So there was, his feet were wet pretty much from day one,
Sure.
And my thought for the business changed dramatically when he decided that he was going to be coming on because he'd worked with me for his whole life. And the
Sure.
thoughts of him going someplace else really deep down was killing me because I did know our relationship and I did know the what we were all about, and to know of him or think of him going someplace else was troubling to me, but I knew that it was good for him to get out away from Dad. And so when he decided to stay on, was the best time to say, let's be partners in this. Because again, he had been through a lot of the tough times with me all through college. He worked for the company. He was out there, pushing tubs and doing all that stuff. So there wasn't any, start him at the lowest rung and bring him on board. He had already gone through a lot of that with us. So I felt like we were partners before he actually graduated anyway, because a lot of the decisions we made, we would sit down and have the same conversations that we had after he came on full time. So I guess he did. He came on as a partner and then he's taken it over now so I can retire.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. As everybody is well aware at this point, we've been talking about succession planning a ton in the magazine and on the podcast and webinars and all of the things. And just talking about how important it is for our industry at the time that we're at right now to have succession plans in place. And you guys maybe have the smoothest like succession I've heard of yet, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, again, we had very minimal employees. So our daily schedule was normally getting up at 6 in the morning, delivering a hot tub, then being back opening a store at 10, working
Mhm.
until 6 p.m., doing it 5 days a week or 6 days a week, sometimes minus
Yeah.
the delivery on Saturdays. But yeah, there was many hats were worn back way
Yes.
back when. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which makes us well-rounded owners and bosses because there's nothing that our employees do that we hadn't done so many times because we were forced to.
Yeah, there is something to be said for that, right? Is at some point as the owner, you don't want to be doing all of the things and you want to be working on growing your business in other ways.
Yeah.
But there is something to be said when you can be like, yeah, I can step in at any part of this business and do what needs to be done if it comes to that.
Yep.
Exactly. Yep.
So I just to be clear, when you say partner, was that so did you have to like to have an ownership stake kind of from the beginning then?
No, I didn't have an
Okay.
ownership stake from the
Okay.
beginning, but it was more of a just a mindset. Let's do this together sort of mentality.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did that part come where you started to actual so where you did start to take actual ownership of the business?
It's really when we grew to the point of, and then he's also more forefront thinking of, I'd like to be done every day by 11 o'clock. And that's been the mindset now where as he's been there, done that for so many years, he's really enjoying his time on vacations or just being at home, lounging around his pool or whatever he wants to do. That's it. It hasn't been a long time. I'd probably
Yeah.
say 3 years you've really started stepping back. It hasn't been something that we've done a long time ago, but as he enjoys more leisure times and kind of looking at it from that 10,000-foot view and stepping in when he needs to, but really just letting me and my team run the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's all about the right people too. I was blessed with him as a son. If I'd have known it, I'd have had five more. But
That might have
you
made succession a little bit more complicated.
so made the strongest man win, right? But
Yeah.
it's having the right people. We have always had a policy that you hire personalities, you don't hire necessarily skilled workers.
Yep.
You can teach good personalities anything. And so we've been doing that for the last so many years. And we have such a good crew that, was with us and is still with us all through COVID and things. We've got a lot of folks that have been with us for a long time that
Yeah.
we've just explained what our vision is and they have jumped on board and I think made it easier for Paul to manage that because they've got a good mindset. It's not just a bunch of people that come in for a paycheck. It's a fun, happy place to work.
Yeah. I want to ask you about the pandemic and what that was like for you, but you've brought up something else I want to ask you about now. So you said you hire for personalities and not skills, which yes, I completely agree with that. But I how do you do that? How do you find those people and how do you interview them so that you know you're getting someone who's the right fit? Because I totally agree. Like our team is very small. And yeah, if you don't have the right personality and can't fit in and work with us, it's just not going to work because we're real small. We all got to get along.
Sure.
So we sat down one day and went over our vision statement, mission statement, core competencies, and then we looked at the employees that were already successful and we broke down, okay, what are characteristics of these employees?
Hmm.
So we then took those characteristics, it was like 8 or 9 of them, put them out on a sheet of paper, and then we came up with interview questions that we could ask that would test that personality trait. And then we actually have a ranking scale that we can fill out. So every time we're interviewing somebody, it's more about their personality and how well can they fit. And there are some that we don't need an ownership mindset that a technician or something doesn't necessarily need it. But if we're hiring for management position, then yeah, we want to make sure that they have that ownership mindset and how they would handle a mess up as far as not passing the buck, so to speak, on if you make a mistake, like owning it and figuring it out and going from there. So we actually have a sheet that has those core characteristics that we want to have all of our employees have.
Yeah.
And that's how we interview. And then when we're all done, we summarize on everybody's sheet of paper on the applicants as far as which person, regardless of sometimes, because again, we're such a niche industry. It's very
Yeah.
hard that somebody comes in and is applying for a sales job or a service job and says, oh, I've worked on hot tubs for 10 years. That never happens. So we felt like that's the best way to do it. Because yeah, like my dad said, if you get somebody we hired 3 years ago now, one of very successful salesperson, he was a valet guy. He just was
Oh,
a
really?
hotel and was doing valet, but could talk to anybody and just could carry on a conversation. And we felt if we could train him on selling hot tubs and product knowledge, he'd be an asset. And sure enough, he absolutely is because
Yeah.
we bring him to shows and put him in front of people and he can make anybody their best friend and keep them talking. And everybody has a different background, but they all have that same personality, which
Yeah.
again, kind of adds to our culture because we don't have the clashes or the employees that don't really gel as much because they all have the similar outlook on a lot of things.
Yeah.
You
What are some of the other characteristics that you look for? You said ownership mentality. What are some of the other
Oh,
ones?
um, I, but I can
nothing like putting you on the spot. Yeah,
yeah,
you don't need to name all of them. I'm just curious what else is on that list.
interview sheet. Here, took me 2 seconds. Team focused, dependability, gracious, passionate, their solution base. We want to know about their creativity, what type of attitude, if it's a positive attitude, their confidence, organized or time management. But yeah, normally we want someone who's very gracious and passionate and
Yeah.
stuff like that, because we feel like if they don't come in here and they're open to learn, and we also try to ask them what's the best way you do learn, whether it's just I can hand you a binder and let you go, or if you're more hands-on, or if you like to
Mhm.
watch videos. Like, we try to ask those questions because we do realize everybody learns and trains differently, and we try to adapt as best we can. But yeah, those are some of the characteristics that we're looking for.
And then we also try to make sure that they're gonna match well with their peers that are gonna be here. And we always take that into consideration, that how are they gonna get along with the manager or the rest of the crew? And because there's nothing like happy employees. If you know that they're all looking at this in your best interest and we all have the same vision, and we have created a culture like that, that you can't go wrong with that, because you have 20 or 30 people to sit down and talk to about this issue. Because if you've all got the same vision and the same goal, then it makes it much easier to manage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, talking about the pandemic, you talk about this sort of transition starting to happen more about 3 years ago, which makes sense because I think for a lot of owners, that transition started during
Mhm.
or after those pandemic years, because
Yeah.
as good as they're also real tough. And I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of people came out of it, people who've been in the industry for a really long time came out of it and were like, this was great. I need a break. Was that sort of how you felt too, Paul Sr.?
A lot of our problems that we have seen since the pandemic is telling the salespeople that you just don't sell a tub to everyone that walks in the door. You know,
Yeah, you mean you gotta actually learn how to sell?
and that's the thing. We had to hire people throughout the pandemic to keep up with demand and to keep up with sales. And then the retraining of these people to this is how it's really done. And this is
Mhm.
what the downtimes in the business are really like. And throughout the pandemic, it was crazy. We learned something new every day, what we can do, what we can't do. Yeah. And so there was a lot.
We when stuff started shutting down, luckily in Virginia, we didn't have it as bad as some other states. I know,
Sure.
like, we have friends that own dealerships in California, and they had it a lot worse than we did. Our industry was deemed essential by the state just because of the products that we carry and needing to treat the water and stuff.
Yeah,
We got to stay open and do service, but definitely, like he had said, everybody pulling together how we can do business differently with doing FaceTime sales or screen to screen sales, as opposed to people coming in. We never had one before, but we developed an e-store. We did a lot of tutorial videos that we had to do because people couldn't do things face to face. So we started like a YouTube channel and did some tutorial videos for folks so they could watch them rather than having a service technician coming out and doing some minor things. But yeah, no, we had a team meeting and told everybody that we didn't know what was going to happen. Nobody did, but
yeah,
we let them know that they're going to have a job. And as long as we were keeping the doors open, we wanted to, and we didn't let anybody off. We had some people transfer or people quit, but we never fired anybody, which I thought was really nice. We ran a little bit on a skeleton crew at times, especially on the sales side, because
yeah,
everything was sold so far in advance. We actually felt guilty bringing on a salesperson because you get them trained and it was like, okay, now you can sell a hot tub that can't be delivered for 10 months, 12 months.
right.
So they're going to starve because, if they're commission based, they can't do it. So we again put on, like you said before, that we could step in. So we managed and worked some stores again just to make ends meet and not have to bring someone on that couldn't essentially sell everything because we were all allocated and it was all sold. But no, it was different, but I do think it made us stronger. It made all of our salespeople that are using now, they did, yes, turn into order takers because it was just you'd answer a phone and sell a hot tub, it seemed. But it made a lot of us more versatile that maybe at the time you were forced to become more comfortable selling over the phone or over the screen rather than in person. And so I think now they're using those skills with lead follow-up and stuff a little bit better than they did prior to the pandemic.
Mhm.
But no, it was crazy. That was wild times for sure.
Yeah. Do you look back on it as you say it's crazy? Do you look at it back on it as crazy good or crazy bad? Because I get both
No,
responses.
ours was crazy good.
Okay.
So yeah, we always joke. So our headquarters we were able to purchase because of the pandemic because
Awesome. Yeah.
sales skyrocketed to the point where we just bought our 3 acre facility in Roanoke, and so I think it was definitely crazy good.
Yeah. Yeah. Paul Sr., do you feel like though that sort of accelerated your exit from the business, or were you pretty much on that trajectory anyway?
No, my comfort level has been the same with Paul and
Hmm.
management crews. That no, I knew that I wanted to get out of it. I don't know if I'll ever get out of it. It's in your
Right.
blood. My wife says that they'll be closing the casket on me, and I'll still be trying to sell a tub or something. But I don't. Again, I don't know as I ever look at myself as completely retired, because primarily the culture that we have created. I love going to work. I had mentioned to someone at Watkins, which is of course the tubs that we sell, that I selfishly actually created an environment that I wanted to go to every day. And that's what we did. And
Yeah.
it's worked out exactly like we wanted. So I don't ever see me leaving completely, maybe on extended
There you go.
terms, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll be back every now and
Yeah,
then.
that's no, that sounds great. Like you like waltz in and do what you want when you want to do it and everything runs without you there. That's the perfect scenario.
It really is. I'm so blessed to be where I am. I
Yeah.
really am because the folks that of course are running it, and yeah, it's a great thing. It really
Yeah.
is.
Paul Jr. I being having the marketing background, I'm curious, how did you handle marketing during the pandemic? Because for a lot of people, they just completely turned it off because it felt
Yeah.
weird to be marketing when you technically didn't have anything that you could sell.
Yep.
But then at the same time, I feel like so many people were late to turn their marketing back on, and then they got in trouble. So I'm curious how that went for you guys.
So no, we turned it off much in the same way. Yeah, you didn't want to advertise or have sales because people were waiting 10,
Right.
11 months and you didn't want them to see this advertising for something cheaper. So yeah, we stopped all discounted prices. Everybody paid the same because again, we didn't want to make anybody upset. We transitioned our marketing from like TV and stuff like that, and we started doing a lot of charitable stuff with giving back to the community. And we would like the teacher one, we're doing a teacher one right now that we've been doing for a few years as far as they enter in and we take nominations and then we give 5 teachers a goodie bag and like stuff to donate to pay for the classroom stuff. So started doing things like that. And then, yeah, as soon as it stopped and things like that, we actually did meet with, because at that time, like I said, we weren't the same company coming out of the pandemic as we were going in.
Yeah.
So we actually did partner with a accounting firm or not accounting, a marketing firm, sorry, that handles that day to
Okay.
day social. Because I graduated with marketing, but now I'm even a dinosaur when it comes to that.
100%.
We don't, I get reports every month of how everything's doing and they talk to me. But as far as knowing algorithms and meta and all this stuff, I don't really.
I think if you're not doing that every day, all day, there, it's impossible to keep up with. I don't think even if you have an aptitude for it, it's so hard and time consuming to really try to get like your bang for your buck every single day and every single month. That makes
Absolutely.
perfect sense to me. I'm sure an accounting firm would love to run your marketing. They'd be
Yeah.
like, marketing, that's an
Yeah.
expense we don't
Yeah,
need.
I'm sure he would like it because yeah, we'd spend a lot less. Yeah.
But I love that though. I think that like some people during the pandemic in our industry did some really smart things with cause marketing during that time. And I just feel like that's really smart because you're still staying in front of your customers. You're not disappearing, but you're doing that in a way that's beneficial to everybody. And I think just I don't know. I just think that's a really smart way to do it. Like when you can't be doing your normal marketing and advertising, pricing, and all the things that you would maybe do otherwise. I really felt like that was the best way to go during that time period.
Absolutely agree.
Yeah. So as you guys are looking forward to the future, what are you thinking for your business? Any more growth you're anticipating or wanting? You mentioned that you bought your corporate headquarters, which is great. Are you thinking of making any more real estate purchases? What do you have in mind for the future of this 40-year-old company?
Yeah, so this year we're renovating all of our stores. So we opened up the new locations, but then all of our stores that had been opened have
Yeah,
gotten complete space. This is our last one, thank goodness, because we've been doing this since February. So I am ready to not being a part-time contractor with
I'm sure.
going to building meetings and stuff like that. But no, growth is, we're definitely in the growth mindset. I think we have the infrastructure that we didn't have prior to even 2 or 3 years ago, that now I think we're definitely wanting to grow and keep this train going. So
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of renovations have you been doing? What things are you changing or bringing on? I'm always really interested in how people and what people are doing on that side.
So we hired a designer, Edie, with Crested Crane.
Oh
She is,
yeah.
so you've seen a
Yeah.
lot of her
Yeah.
stuff.
So I went to the Watkins the Hot Spring dealer meeting this year. And so I got
Oh,
to
okay.
see some of those presentations and learn
Mhm.
about her for the first time and
Yeah.
see some of the work that she's done. And I was blown away.
Yeah, so she designed, and we wanted to create synergy so that way, if any, regardless of what store you went into, you knew you were in a Water by Design store. She has designed all of our buildings, and we're basically just making them carbon copies of one another as best we can.
Yeah.
But no, she's big on different textures. So like our prior stores were beautiful track lighting, foam letters, paint, nice carpet, but that was it. Now it's backlit neon signs and grass tiles or greenery tiles on the walls. And we have, like, on the other side of this wall where our EP is, there's walnut shiplap that it looks very nautical. We'll give you a tour after this. So that way,
Yeah. We're
yeah,
gonna get some pictures taken so that we can all see exactly what it's looking. But yeah, I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen a store that Edie has done that I have not thought was beautiful. So
yeah. No, we had so I don't know what this building used to be, this space used to be, but the landlord, because this space we're just renting, the landlord actually owns a solar company that's behind us. And he came down just to check in on Monday, and he hadn't seen it since we started the renovations.
mhm.
And he loved it so much, he called his wife from their house and had her drive here to see the store. And he was just snapping pictures, and I had to send him a couple links of things that we had bought, because this is the most amazing spa store I've ever seen in person. Yeah, it's very nice. It's something that you're proud of. It's something that we're excited to show off. And when other dealers come up here and ask questions and want to see it, that you're proud to share and help the next dealer that was where we were 10 years ago. That's the one thing I personally love about this business, is the community aspect of it, that it seems like the big companies now are so open to helping the small guys for in the future,
Mhm.
that I don't think you get that in every industry. And some of the closest friends that I have are in the spa industry that you see every January at the dealer conferences and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's very cool.
Paul Sr., do you feel like that's changed over the years in the industry, that there is more kind of camaraderie and community, or maybe just more openness than there was in the past?
Yeah, probably. We're a part of an organization of hot tub, the Gemini Group. I'm sure you've probably
Sure.
heard of.
Yes. We all know the Gemini group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I found that to be just super helpful, because
Mhm.
we're learning from companies that are 5 times bigger than you, that have been there. But it also helps you to realize that we all have the same problems. This isn't just me. But yes, I do. I think that the business, and again, it depends on who you're talking to, because
Sure.
some of them just don't like to change. It's like my way or the highway, and that's a shame, because that's in a lot of cases where that business is going to end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do believe so. We've got a lot of nice folks that we know, and with the Facebook stuff and all those modern things that he does, he's able to get answers quickly for, hey, is everybody experiencing this? And so I think that everybody seems to be much more helpful. Years ago, it just wasn't like that.
Yeah.
You didn't have the internet. If you wanted something, you picked up the phone and called somebody, and then
Right.
who did you call? Because you didn't have this group of people that you were talking with daily. So I just think that that's one of the really good things that the internet and all does for us, is brings us all together and makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because on the one hand, I do feel like there's been this change in our industry as far as that community and having some deeper connections. But that being said, I also talk to people who are been in the business for 50 years and are retiring, and they have those really deep connections and always have. So I don't think it's not like it's never been there. I think it's been a part of our industry since the beginning. I just think it's changed in a way where it's maybe more visible to the rest of us because it is online and you are seeing like more of this interaction just out in the open maybe. But yeah, people who've been in the industry for 50 years and are retired, they're going on vacation with other dealers. Like they have always been friends and had that connection. It's just I think it just looks different in a way that makes it feel, and I think it also, now that some of these things are going online, it does open it up to more people than maybe were not having that before. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Good. I think what you just said a second ago hit the nail right on the head, because you said that 50-year guy retiring and going on. You're not going to make it 50 years in this industry or 40 years in this industry without having people to lean on and to talk. So
Absolutely.
I think it's a unique kind of person that has a business 40 or 50 years.
Yeah.
It's got to be somebody that is willing to change, willing to take the advice of other people and have someone to talk with. I think that
That's
that
the
is
key.
that's the key. I
Yeah.
think the ones that come in that are in business for 4 or 5 years, that are trying to get a quick buck or what have you, that they're not the ones that I think are going to have the same longevity and friendships and camaraderie that us older dealers do.
Yeah. All right. You know what? That's so you've just crystallized it for me. It's not that it's having that community that is why those people are successful. I think that's great. I think that crystallized it for me. It's not so much that we've changed necessarily like how we're getting along in the industry. It's that the people who value that are the ones that stick around.
Yeah.
I do believe so.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Um, as you are getting closer to that retirement, whatever that looks like for you, what kind of are you excited about for your sort of new horizons?
That's a good question. Right now, I'm still quite involved in the company, just with everything that's going on. So I've not had a real opportunity just to sit down and say, where's my yacht and my this and that? I don't know. I love where I live, so it's not going to be any kind of a move or anything like that,
Yeah,
because my family's here, and so I don't know. More traveling for sure. We love to travel. So a lot more traveling, and hopefully traveling with my kids and stuff as well, because we
yeah,
do that quite often. But
yeah,
I'm really just a family guy. And if I stay home all day and they come visit me in the afternoons or something, I'm okay with that. You know,
yep,
that's a happy retirement for me. But probably just traveling more.
yeah,
My wife, and I don't know,
yeah.
maybe buy a fancy car or something.
What do you have on your where do you have on your travel bucket list? Anywhere in particular you're really itching to get to?
Watkins has filled a lot of that with us, because
Right?
with the places that they send us,
100%.
a lot of those places. I actually like domestic travel quite a bit. There's a lot to see in this country that I've not seen yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so that, and then there's always the islands and the places that you hear about that I haven't gone to yet.
He
Yeah.
wants to do his 3-month-long RV trip across country.
There you
Around.
go.
I don't blame you. I think that would be fantastic. My kids would need to be a little older because I'm not spending that much time in an RV with them at this stage of the game. But
Right.
yeah, going around and seeing all the national parks and all those things that,
Yeah.
you've only seen in pictures, I think that would be great. But
Yeah.
yeah, you Watkins dealers that get on their incentive trips, my goodness. I was talking to Rita Rowland from Ultramodern up in Kansas, and she's been to something like 35 countries just
Oh,
doing like dealer trips in the industry, walk-ins, and then the other kind of incentive trips that they're a part of. Yeah, you get to go to a lot of fantastic places.
yeah, and they do it right too. My wife and I sometimes say when we go on another vacation without them, what's missing is Watkins. They've got all the cool stuff planned for you.
Yes, we're our buddies.
Yeah, yeah.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that's important to you guys in your business that we haven't touched on?
I don't think so.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
no, I really don't.
Yeah, just all the old guys that have people like him around need to pay close attention, because
Yeah,
it's a lot of value in what they bring, the youth and stuff, because we're dinosaurs. We need to step aside and sit back and watch them create, because that's as much fun as creating.
yeah, that's great. Before we get off, we're going to do the Spa Retailer 5. I'm going to ask both of you these questions and we'll see how you do. They're not tough, but Paul's, do you remember your first hot tub you ever sold?
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Last name was Welch. They got a down east Portland, which was the largest hub they sold, and we delivered it on the back of this huge wooden flatbed truck and had to push it like it was insane. But that was
No
the first.
spa dollies back then.
No
No.
spa dollies. No.
Definitely
Yes.
impressionable.
Yes. Yes.
That's amazing. Would you approximately when that would have been?
Probably right around 88,
Okay.
87, 88.
Yeah. What was your first real job?
My first real job.
Yeah, first real job.
I guess I'm a licensed plumber by trade. It's
Okay.
been passed down in my family forever. That's why we did the original plumbing supply
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
I am not a plumber.
He's not.
It stopped
You
with
you
that.
you broke the
Yeah.
the chain.
Yeah.
We knew when we made one cute enough that doesn't have to be a plumber that we would have something, right? But mine was plumbing. I was a full-time plumber, and
Okay.
it's yeah. So that was what I was.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. All right. And then Paul Jr., was this your first real job working at the store when you were a kid, or did you have like
Yeah,
a,
no,
a paper route or something?
no, this was my first real job. Summer breaks from school I get to spend 2 to 3 days at the swimming pool with my friends, and the other half of the week yeah.
All right. All right.
Yeah, this was, I mean, I did internships and stuff in college, but worked for free, really.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the worst idea, product or event, something you tried in the business that just did not work out?
Oh,
Oh, the worst event
we've had
that we
pretty good
did.
events.
We had,
It could be anything, just
I would probably say this, we have the Salem Fair that comes through. It's
sure.
just, and we had been wanting to do it for years, probably 15 years. And we couldn't get in, couldn't
Hmm.
get in. Pandemic happened. Post-pandemic, they started doing, I think last year was the first year that they did it. And the spa company that they always had, and the reason why we couldn't get in, didn't do it. And so they were approved us and we were able to do it last year. And a lot of time, money, resources were put into it, and it was an absolute flop. So it was just like
Oh
one of those that
no.
we built up we're gonna do well, and we've talking to our friends and their fairs that they do. It was
Yeah.
like, it's gonna be a 2 week fair. We're gonna sell a bunch of tubs, and I think
Yeah.
we did 5 or 6. Like
Yeah.
it was so bad, but you learned. We didn't do it this year, but from talking to other people that were there, they think a lot of it had to do with it was like the first year they also moved where it always was and this, that, and the other. But yeah, I would probably say in recent memory, that's probably the worst thing that we've done. And I think the biggest part of it was because of the anticipation. Like we thought it was going to be amazing and then it wasn't.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. It's been on your list for so long and it was like
Yeah, like
finally yours.
I know. And then it was
Yeah.
like, not
Yeah,
not.
that's too bad. Yeah, fairs it just seems can be real hit or miss. Like for the location, for the year, for whatever reason, it just feels like they're feast or famine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what would you say is the best idea or the biggest game changer that you guys have done over the last few years?
Off-site events. So
Okay.
we bought a tent and we do tent sales at our store. We do tent sales in a parking lot at Walmart or the mall, and
Hmm.
we do pop-ups and things like that. So that's
Yeah.
probably been the best sale, is not doing stuff that it doesn't have to be in our brick and mortar box stores. Like we can sell a dozen hot tubs on a weekend on the parking lot that's 45 minutes from our closest store.
Yeah. Yeah, I see those. I know that retailers have great success with those. I see them like in our town, and I'm always like, there's no one there. Are they actually making any money doing this?
We man them well. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's such
Yeah.
a weird business too. We always, because like a mini mart could have 70 people in a day visit the store, and we can have one and make the
Hmm.
exact same amount of money in a revenue day and just with one person. Or we always joke about just the bus being dropped off, and you won't have anybody for several hours, and then it'll seem like at one time like 6 people come to the store at one time.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, that's always fun. And someone's always going to come in the store when you're eating lunch. Like that is the
Like as soon as the fork hits your mouth,
yeah.
it's over.
We always tell during our sale, that's actually something that we mention in our sales training, is without a doubt, don't get upset because it's going to happen. But yeah, it always happens that way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
We have 6-hour lunch breaks now.
Sure. I think that sounds fantastic. So for both of you, do you have a favorite book or podcast, even maybe a TV show, something you like either to learn from or just help you unwind?
I don't watch much TV at all. No.
I would say a good book that I read a lot of like John Gordon's books. Have you
Okay.
read?
Oh, let's give me a title. Maybe it'll.
He has one that's like the Energy Bus, and then so that one was really cool. We actually made some of our managers read it, but it's all
Okay.
about the 10 different rules of having good energy, because businesses talk about they want positive energy, but it's like, what does that mean and how do you get
Yeah.
it? So there's different rules. He also does one that's, I liked it a lot, which is called like the no complaining rule. And they implement it in business. Don't complain. Don't come with me a complaint. Come with me with a solution to the complaint. That's what you do. I like those books a lot. And
Yeah.
whether I've read a couple, but mostly it'll be like audiobooks when I'm driving between stores and stuff like that.
I probably will, by the end of the year, I probably will have listened to 100 audiobooks.
Yeah. But no, but I like, as far as the book world, John Gordon's awesome. He has a lot of really good positive messages
Yeah.
and things that you can implement to business.
Yeah. So we just started this sales training program that we're offering to the industry, and it's interesting. I took the first class actually yesterday, and it was interesting. That was one of the things that they talked about. One of their was never complain, never criticize. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's interesting. That's a little tie in there. Thank you for that. You guys, thank you so much for doing this. It's been such a pleasure getting to know both of you and learning more about your business. Congratulations on 40 years. That's fantastic. And I can't wait to get these pictures taken so I can see what your new showrooms are looking like.
The Spa Retailer Podcast is a production of Spa Retailer Magazine. Let us know what you think by leaving a review or emailing us at podcast@sparetailer.com. Thanks for listening.